Yeah, so I'm Kate Longden, founder of the Food Doula, which is a nourishment delivery service UK-wide. I do packages of frozen ready meals, kind of specialising in the postpartum period. So they're packed full of really healing ingredients which support postpartum healing. I do also have other packages for kind of different phases of life, but I'm most known for being the kind of UK specialist in postpartum delivery. And I also offer as well as the kind of deliveries that you can order online, I offer a fully bespoke service, which is kind of more of a private chef delivered. So that might be for people who want support for the whole first 40 days
Yeah.
and want a bit more variation, etc. So yeah, it's really the mission is feeding people, nourishing people at this really crucial time, but also kind of imparting wisdom and educating around it too.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic what you do. And sorry, did you say where you're based?
Yeah, based down in Hampshire.
Hampshire.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so but yeah, deliver everywhere.
fab. I was taking a little screenshot of you there, so I think I missed that bit. So the the whole premise, I suppose, is making it like so easy for people to keep on top of that really important nourishment, and just making sure people know that that's a thing as well, right? Because it kind of goes under the radar a little bit, and people are so focused on the baby
Yeah.
and making sure the baby is fed and all the things that newborn babies go through, that you might even still be in hospital for a little while, and
Yeah.
so what happens then? Normally nutrition is the first thing to go out the window, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
That's it. It's just a part of the mission is really, making sure that actually in pregnancy we can start to prepare to be really deeply nourished in postpartum and with the right foods. We can kind of cross our fingers and hope that people will bring meals round, but I think actually having a kind of more complex preparation in terms of kind of, batch cooking ahead. And if people do want to, bring you something postpartum or sort of say to you,
yeah,
what do you need? Actually
yeah,
saying, oh, can I have 5 portions of this dal and give them the recipe? It's kind of not just leaving people to their own devices. Obviously, it's super kind, but part of it is beginning in pregnancy to also ask for what we want and what we need and being quite assertive with that in obviously a kind of gentle way, but saying, actually, I need this, and these are the kind of ingredients that are really going to help my recovery. And so please can you use these ingredients when you're cooking for me to help fill my freezer. And maybe it's also around if you're having a baby shower or a mother's blessing, it's kind of, can people bring a dish for the freezer, and that's just part of the kind of, that becomes part of the culture of supporting our friends and loved ones to kind of as they're entering postpartum. um I think there's so much focus on preparing for birth, and it's the kind of next chapter which is often very overlooked. And certainly you can't eat your way out of the realities of having a newborn, but it's such an important pillar in our healing and our recovery, both for your kind of cell repair post birth, whatever kind of birth you've had, also for digestive support, because everything is very slowed in those early weeks and really compromised. Having that first poo can be really terrifying. So it's kind of getting all the foods in that are going to help sort of settle us in physically to postpartum, and settle us in emotionally. Kind of being really deeply nourished obviously supports our nervous system, and hormones are sort of racing, and it's a frayed time. It's kind of a very tender time, and so supporting with foods that are going to help our blood sugars and help our energy are also going to just build our emotional resilience during like the stormy sea of postpartum.
yeah. And you touched a bit there about bowel movement. So this is probably a good time to ask this question. Someone asked a question who's having a planned caesarean birth,
Yeah.
and they've obviously got that luxury of knowing roughly, when it's going to happen, as long as baby can
Yeah.
come sooner. They want to really be thinking about, the couple of weeks before, particularly. What ingredients would you recommend they're using in their food in order to help with that because that's traditional, or I say traditionally, it's commonly something that people experience the constipation after because of all the medication and things. So how
Yeah.
can they be helping themselves?
Of course, and I think this is definitely applicable to kind of all births.
Yeah.
Obviously, with C-sections, kind of blood loss can be something that can obviously kind of be more of a thing. So you're really looking at your blood nourishing foods. So you're looking at beetroot, you're looking at your leafy greens, but always pairing leafy greens with vitamin C. So some lemon juice, which helps you to absorb the iron. Really good quality red meat and bone broth and healthy fats like tallow and ghee are also going to really help. Things like mulberries and goji berries and red dates are used very commonly in traditional Chinese medicine as very iron rich kind of herbal supports. Nettle as well can be a great herbal support. I don't know if I mentioned, but a big part of Food Doula is kind of using herbs, using botanicals to support as well, kind of that are steeped in the wisdom of Ayurveda and Chinese medicine, which have sort of so much. There's so much ancient wisdom in these kind of lost traditions. And so I think focusing on iron building, but also, firstly, it's sort of eating enough. I know in the last trimester of pregnancy, you're so full, you're so, so if you can't manage a kind of really big full meal, then just making sure that you might have 5 meals a day, but making sure that you are eating enough. And it's a time where hopefully kind of second, third trimester, you're feeling a bit better, you're not feeling as nauseous. And so this is a time where we can really build our nutrient stores, and which is going to help to just avoid that nutritional depletion, which can obviously impact us so much and our kind of experience of postpartum. But so I'd say just building with also, lots of plant proteins, so your lentils and beans and stuff, but mainly it's eating enough, starting to cook and then cook double and kind of put some in your freezer, and being on a good sort of iron supplement. Also, zinc's a really important supplement at that time, and obviously your omega-3. But yeah, I think that the key is also rallying everyone around you who's supporting you, whether that's your partner or loved ones, to kind of also prioritize your nourishment in pregnancy. And I think that's really a way that our partners as well can begin to kind of have that that ownership, and that they're able to nourish their baby by really helping to nourish you. And I often say to people, which blokes seem to quite like, I'm like, you're the CNO, you're the chief nourishment officer of postpartum. They're like, oh yeah, CNO. But it's a way of packaging it up to be like, this is a really important role. And it's absolutely, in pregnancy, it's let's build like as much kind of stores as we can for those early days.
It's so true, especially when a lot of people have a couple of weeks off. And I know my husband particularly just felt really like a spare part because I was breastfeeding, and so therefore I
Yeah.
was the source of nourishment. And then
Yeah.
it becomes a bit of a tense point because, like, what can I do? I feel really useless. But that is perfect. I love that
Totally.
title.
That's it. And they do like it. And, even if you have got a freezer full of stuff that you've batch cooked, actually often it's kind of making sure that there's drinks that, warming drinks in between and stuff. So, but also then that they really have, and nourishment isn't just about food, is it? Nourishment is also another really important pillar of postpartum, is touch, like positive touch, whether that's your partner massaging you every day, and that kind of big foot massage or a back massage, and that kind of beginning to be a part of the daily routine, and just being kind of nourished with food, with touch, and obviously rest is something that they can absolutely play a part in a time where they can feel quite redundant, and it's hard. That pressure is hard for them as well as it is for us, I think.
Yeah. And do you find, out of interest, do you have more first or subsequent time parents coming to you?
Sorry.
That's right.
So it's really interesting. I do have a lot of my customers are coming to me second time with the benefit of hindsight.
Yes.
And with saying sort of, really wanting to prioritize nourishment this time because it was something that they didn't think about first time. And I'm one of those people. That's why I founded Food Doula. I've always been a very keen cook, and with my first, so when I was pregnant with my first, Olive, who's now 9, I was a special educational needs teacher. I kind of stopped work for weeks before she was born and thought I'd done like loads of batch cooking and thought that I'd prepared really well. And that batch cooking lasted about 2 days. And we then just lived off Deliveroo. And that, is just not what your body needs. And it's like really expensive to kind of keep doing it like that. Whereas, so I think, and then my second postpartum, obviously I'd started Food Doula a couple of years after having my first. So the second one, I was like laughing because I had a whole freezer full, and that just made such a big difference. And I think, the benefit of hindsight is such a hard thing. But I think there is a lot of chat now about postpartum and how important it is. And in antenatal classes, it's kind of being tagged on as something that they talk about too, whereas I think 9-10 years ago it wasn't necessarily as much of a big thing. So I do, and obviously all people that I nourish I love, but it's those first time, when people come first time, it's like, yes, it's so lovely to know that can be their North Star first time round. So it's great. And I do actually also get a lot of partners now kind of ordering, saying, I want to set this up so we can have more time together, and then they might order again for when partner goes back to work, which is really nice. But it's certainly not about necessarily just you don't have to use a service necessarily, but it's sort of starting early enough to batch cook your own stuff, and ask everyone around you to do the same. Obviously, if you're not wanting to use a service, then, but yeah, it's just kind of rallying everyone around. And Meal Train is an amazing tool as well. It's an amazing website where kind of, if you can set up people around you to kind of feed you on different days and stuff. So
Oh, really? I've never heard of that.
I think
Meal
it's so great. So people kind of you invite a certain amount of people. It might be people just in your local area, or some people who are far away do use services to kind of fill their gaps, but people choose kind of what days they're going to feed you. Obviously, it's kind of putting the boundary in place to just drop it on the doorstep and not necessarily come in and you have to host and stuff. But yeah, that's also a really great tool to use.
Oh, I love that. I will definitely post that on here and then within the hub as well. It's just finding those little things that are out there that
definitely.
amazing. Oh gosh, something was on the tip of my tongue. It was about so you mentioned about Deliveroo, and I think people, including myself, do turn to things like that because you think, I look at a service and it looks really expensive to kind of invest in 7 meals, but then actually what you end up doing is spending so much more because you do it day by day.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's,
absolutely.
Of like budget in that way. Because you do find you just run out of time and you need to just grab whatever you can, and that ends up being so expensive and really not as healthy.
Absolutely. And even if you're kind of subbing, you kind of, I think we'll go into kind of what the principles are and what are really good things to cook, but it might be that you're kind of subbing something, you might use a service, but also certain things that you find easy to cook, then you can just do a load of things yourself.
And so another question which will kind of lead into that, about good things to cook, is if you're just not a cook or you don't know what to ask to people, like what they could cook, what would your go-tos be as like the good basic ones that would help with healing and nourishment?
So basic one would be dal. Dal is like the, really the queen of postpartum meal, certainly in the first few weeks, because it's so hydrating. So one of the main principles, and we'll go through a couple of postpartum nourishment, is that it's hydrating. So this can be really good for milk supply. I think it's just making sure we're replacing, you know, all of the fluids that we're losing if we're feeding. So dal is very hydrating. Also, we can get lots of bone broth in there, or you can use veg, like a really mineral rich veg broth if you don't eat meat, using ghee as well. So ghee in Ayurveda, which is clarified butter, so all the lactose has been removed. So it's often actually tolerated by people who are lactose intolerant, but that is a really, really healthy fat that kind of helps to drive vitamins deep into our tissues. So it's one of the most revered sort of postpartum ingredients in Ayurveda. And that also helps to lubricate. So the role of healthy fats is to make sure that everything can move through our digestive system easily. So yeah, I would say dal, because in that we can include lots of warming spices. So that brings us to another principle of postpartum nourishment, which is warming. So we want to be warm in postpartum. Essentially, you know, we have a very empty space within our womb. And in order to heal properly, our body needs to be warm, and that's warm both like kind of from the outside, but also we can use energetically warming spices in our food. So that's like ginger, cloves, cardamom, turmeric, and also in temperature. So you want to avoid cold and raw ingredients. So kind of lots of people think that having smoothies and stuff is really great, and yes, you could pack lots of goodness into them, but actually having cold things isn't the best. So yeah, soups, stews, dals, ragus, broths is really great. But in terms of simplicity, that you can cook in a massive batch, definitely dal is a great place to start. Or also kachari, which is essentially dal, but it has basmati rice in it, so you've got the kind of a full meal in one. And yeah, that's a great one as well for those early days.
Where do the roots of these dishes come from? Like,
So I steep the menu in Ayurveda and Chinese medicine, but I always kind of put Food Doula flavor twists in, I say, because kind of bringing them into the modern day. So it's kind of applying the principles, but making them a bit more interesting. I've got a beetroot, coconut, lime, and nettle soup. So you kind of just real vibrant flavors, but with kind of really blood nourishing ingredients still. I've got a slow cooked beef, almond, and tomato ragu. So you're kind of adding ground nuts in to add healthy fats. So there's sort of little twists along the way, but yeah, your sort of slow cooked meals are great, which is where in pregnancy actually just sticking something in a slow cooker in the morning, and in the afternoon you can freeze a batch. Actually, that's great because you just chuck everything in and it does the work for you.
yeah, I can imagine it's really hard for people to wean themselves off of you
Yeah,
once they've had you.
yeah. I think, yeah, no, I think that's it. It's kind of providing obviously a product which is convenient, but also within all the boxes, you get like printed content for, actually, I've got some here, I'll show you.
Lovely.
But you get these really handy like charts that you can stick on your fridge and are then really easy for then making your own, and like using within your own cooking, because yeah, that's it. It's sort of, I'm so passionate that I'm not just providing a quick fix, because actually that can't last forever, and it's about kind of also giving people the toolkit to do it themselves, and to send to people and say, cook me this.
Yeah, and I'm sure it obviously ranges by dishes and amounts and things, but can you give a rough price estimate so people just have an idea of costs of that kind of service?
Yeah, so I do 3, 5, and 7 day packages, and it works out at between about £30 a day per person, and that is for a morning herbal tonic and a lunch and an afternoon snack and a dinner. So So the packages are for 2 people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, lots of people say, and I say, your partner might not need, your partner doesn't necessarily need to cook. Sorry, need to eat postpartum specific food. So for them, they might be having something different. In which case, your 7-day package would last you actually 2 weeks.
Yes.
And so what you do is just, defrost half and then have the rest the next day. So,
Yeah.
I think it's such it's really such a good investment, whether
Yeah.
that's kind of investment of time of you doing it yourself and batch cooking yourself in pregnancy, or whether it is like a investing in a service. I think it just gives you more time together in postpartum as well, to kind of not be wondering what you should eat. And something I do always say is, certainly, if you can take, if you're birthing in hospital, if you can take something with you that you've made or that you've
Yeah.
got, so that you're not having toast as the first thing, because back to the digestive system,
Yeah.
it's the last thing that your body needs. And I know that so often people are like, oh, that bit of toast was amazing, and I think, oh God, like, give your body more, you deserve more than
Yeah.
that. Oh
Well,
gosh.
that just shows how famished you are, that
Oh,
even that
exactly.
is amazing, because
100%.
in any other
Yeah,
scenario, you'd be like, oh, what?
definitely. And so you can ask in your appointments, like, does the hospital have heating facilities? Like, do you have a microwave in the parents' room or whatever?
Yeah.
That's handy, or you can just take it in a flask.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought,
Take
always
it
think at
into
the
the fear.
very least you can get one of the better porridge pots and just put
Yeah,
water in it. Like, if that's the
exactly. Definitely.
sort of
Yeah, that's so good, because you
recommended.
know that you'll have a kettle there
Yes,
at least. Yeah,
generally.
definitely.
um, oh, that's fantastic. Thank you. It's lots of really helpful information in a short space of time, and I'll put all of your links and things below the video. Was there anything else you'd like to share about the
Um,
service, or as like a final little
Yeah, I
point?
think I'll definitely also send you some links to some really great books.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, there's a few people, Aviva Rom, who's been a midwife and kind of nutritionist for 40 years, and herbalist. She's incredible. Lily Nichols, Real Food for Pregnancy and Postpartum. I'll send them to you. Just, I think we often read 500 birth books and then like
Yeah,
but so they're really great, and they're really great for like partners to get a bit stuck into as well.
yeah. Yes, you're
Something
right.
I
Not one of those books will mention food or nourishment. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And one thing I always encourage my clients to do as well is, with your partner, um, is to set up a WhatsApp group with just you and your partner, and that's where you put all of the postpartum or pregnancy kind of resources, or even memes, but just like the really helpful informational kind of things, so
Yeah,
that it doesn't just get lost, and they can then come back to that, and they know kind of they've got little bits to read, when
that's a
they've got
really good
5
idea.
minutes on the train
Yeah,
home from work.
yeah.
So it doesn't get lost in your kind of stream of endless messages anyway.
Yeah, and it's actually quite, you're not sending whole books. It's like the little
Yeah,
bit nuggets of
exactly.
info that are actually
Yeah,
helpful. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Kate. It was nice to really actually meet you. I know we've
yeah,
spoken online, but yeah, I hope we can connect a lot, much more as well. And as I
yeah,
said, I'll let you
definitely.
know where this goes, and
Yeah.
uh, on YouTube as well.
Also, one last thing, I've got a
Yeah.
giveaway at the moment
Oh, fantastic.
with Wild Nutrition, who do incredible food grown supplements, and they're
Love.
really easy to absorb, which is super important. And also with Flocks Home, who are amazing, non-toxic, sustainable woolen bedding company. So the giveaway is on for like another 9 days, and you win. It's over £1,000 worth of products from all of us. So it's like the nirvana of postpartum giveaway. So you win food from me and 6 months of supplements. So definitely enter.
Oh,
And
I'll put that as a
yeah,
separate post on the hub as well, because that's such
great.
a fantastic one for people to enter. Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll speak soon. Take care.
Take care. Bye. Bye.
Bye.